Hey everybody, welcome back to Age of Strife.
Hello.
So, you guys are here in this room. Maximilian has gone off to start up plans. Your other family members are starting to break into smaller components, chatting about the giants and what it means and how that affects their lives and their relationships with other people. Your brother's gone off to use the outhouse, and the two of you are kind of left standing in this room. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna ignore this and just go about with your lives? I mean, some things you just can't do anything about. Or are you going to make some sort of preparations? Are you gonna do some investigations? What is going through your heads?
Um, Luther personally is kind of bored by he doesn't really want to have to deal with giants right now. He's kind of stuck on trying to learn more about magic. And yeah, that's all he's really been thinking about.
So I
But
will
trying
approach Luther
to him.
um, and saying quietly, I really don't want to have to fight this giant. You see, I feel attached to this town, and I don't want to have to lose it to the giants. Stefan says we'd run, but where'd we run to? We can't all just go and stay at the keep. The whole populace here, I feel like they're important to us as humanity and people. We can't just give up and run away, right? So
Well,
what would you do if the giant attacked tonight?
I don't see how. Well, I suppose we could go on the run, like Stefan says, but I don't know where that goes. If we lose the town, we lose our house, the only land we had. I don't know where we go from there. So
Yeah,
I think fighting is would be my favorite option. Trying to do something if we can, but really I just don't want to deal with it right now.
all right. Well,
It's all this preparation for a threat that could come at any time. We could be
see,
preparing forever.
I'm thinking that if I was a giant, I wouldn't have to attack. So we as people shouldn't attack it if it comes close, because then it will attack us. Because it already has the advantage. It could step in and just everyone runs away.
That's true, but there's certain situations where we'd have to attack, like if it's moving towards the town and it won't stop. We just have to start getting those shots in because one of the easiest ways we have of actually damaging it, hopefully.
I I don't want to do that. I don't want to attack it unless it is physically touching our wall.
That's a bit risky, but I do think occasionally Father and Joseph they get out of hand with their distrust of other races. I think everyone does really. Anyone can be reasoned with, though giants might be a bit too far of a stretch. I don't even know if they have a brain.
Well, if we kill it, I'll find out for you.
That's a lot to hope for, but maybe. Joseph told me. I've been thinking about it while you all were talking. I didn't really follow the conversation at all, but I've been thinking about these zombies in the stinking marsh. I'd heard about them before, and Joseph mentioned them again. And I think if I'm trying to learn about magic, that might be a good place to visit. Try and find the source of the zombies that just keep popping up. Maybe we'll find Another one of those crazy witches raising things from the dead.
You better not be hoping to raise people from the dead as well. 'Cause-
No, no, of course not. But if we're going to be out encountering magic all the time, we best understand it, or we'll be doomed. Last
All
time
right.
that was a close call. I thought I was dead.
Well, you know those things that were attacking. Those things looked like they were dead, and that's magic for you. You don't know if things are dead or not. It's not good.
The woman seems so helpless, yet she had such power. It doesn't make sense.
Well, at this point, I'm going to go back to my seat and stare over to Stefan and say, what do you think of the idea of having ropes attached to smaller blister and all shooting at a giant as a distraction for the main attacks?
The main attacks? Have you got an
Say
army?
we made one larger blister, and obviously we only get a shot every now and then with it. So we could create the small ones, shoot ropes at it that we would cut before the giant starts pulling on them, and the giant might, I don't know, if it's brainless, it could tangle itself up and become a bit of a more helpless target, or it could just infuriate it and then doomed. What do you think? You seem quite interested in the siege weapons.
I'm interested more in Wadsworth, but I think infuriating a giant, any course of action which involves infuriating a giant, is a monumentally silly idea. I don't know. I how do we even begin to take that thing on?
That's why I don't want to start the taking it on.
Yes, neither do I. That's why running is a good idea. I don't think
Okay.
there's too much we can do ourselves until something happens, and I guess we make a decision at that point. We've done what we can. However, it does reveal the frailty of the security that the town believes in hiding behind the walls. I think that's the most interesting thing to come out of this.
Oh, I just had a thought. We should ask people who were on the watch when they first saw the giant where they saw it coming from.
Well, I'd say common sense would say it came from the east and was heading west.
Yeah. Maybe we could figure out where it came from and go that way, and then find out more about what it's into and what it wants. If we can understand it, then we might not be sitting ducks as much.
Are you suggesting, sister, that we go to Hagthor's claim and invite ourselves over for dinner with the giants?
No, I'm suggesting that maybe this giant came from a different location. That's
I know you're looking for someone strong, but surely you haven't thought about the giants in that way. I mean, Hagthor's claim, are you implying that Hagthor has a claim on your person?
no.
Good. In that case, that's covered. I'd say let's just get on with our day and hope that that thing doesn't come back.
Okay. Well then, I'll stand up and leave the table.
Okay, what are you guys going to do with your day?
Something Luther wants to really quick. What is the temple in this town? Is it dedicated to a certain god?
No. It's a very general temple.
Okay.
Just,
Well, Luther's gonna head to the general temple and do a general prayer, and just pray that the giant doesn't come to Wadsworth.
Okay. You find the temple rather crowded. There are a lot of people in here who have had a very similar idea. The clergy is, helping out everywhere they can. There's some monks who have started some kind of singing, chanting in the background. And people are lighting candles. The whole place smells of incense. You kind of had to push your way through the crowd, but you can do that. You're a noble. They all recognize you by your just the way you hold yourself, the way you talk, the clothes you wear. So you managed to easily get into the temple while everyone else is kind of out on the steps, wanting to make their way in to make their prayers. Anything in particular you want to roleplay with that, or?
No, not particularly.
You make your prayers there. The priests kind of clear some room before the altar for you, so you don't have to sit behind all the dirty peasants that are making their prayers. And when you finish up, they kind of help give you a path outward. That kind of area before the temple, that square out there, is just crowded with people. And there are a couple of priests out front that are talking too, one on the left side, one on the right side, that are, giving small sermons to the gathered masses, saying, "Fear not, the gods have plans for us all. They wouldn't build this town only to have it destroyed. Humans are clearly the favored of all of the gods' creations. And while some of us may die on unfortunate situations, it is our lot to survive and our lot to press on. These giants are merely passing by." Trying to give the people some sort of comfort and solace, and maybe a couple of lies in there to help calm the
Maybe a few.
crazed people. Here we are. So, everyone gathers up together, I guess that evening, maybe.
Actually,
Oh, yes?
before the evening, I'd like to, fully armed and armed, of course, just take a stroll across the bridge and go up and have a walk across the wall from the north to the. Let's see. Can I make a walk across the wall? Is there another way down at the other side?
Yeah. There are a few places where you can get up on the wall. So if you want to do like a whole perimeter walk, that's
Not a full perimeter, just that top quarter.
Yeah.
This side.
That's fine.
And I just like to look out to the swamp, and maybe if there's any other guards on duty, just ask them if they saw the giant.
They did. The guys on duty now were the ones who saw it when it first showed up.
All right. So you saw it when it first showed up. What exactly do you think it was doing?
Well, we first spotted it on the east, kind of coming up from south of the marsh. And then it just kind of walked in towards the forest, kind of making an angle like that. Must have come up from between River Grove and Shadewood to get up there. You think they can't cross the river?
How wide is the river?
Like 200 feet, 100 feet. I don't know. It opens and narrows and opens and narrows. So some areas it's quite wide, other areas it's a little bit more. It's only 60 feet across.
I wouldn't know how deep the river is, but a giant of that size, if it can swim, it can cross that river, I think.
Well, maybe the piranha, the carp in there, maybe they're too dangerous.
Ah, yes. Well, let's see. Was the giant carrying anything?
Yeah, it's hard to tell at this distance, but I could have sworn I saw something on his back.
What about clothing?
Just the big fur he was wearing over his body. I think it. He was pretty far out there, but it looked like there was something like a hide, but I can't imagine any hide big enough to cover a giant. Maybe it was a bunch of hides stitched together.
That sounds about right. So, the thing it was carrying on its back, I think maybe a weapon, and I just hold my spear up, say maybe something like a spear.
You mean?
Well, most things carry weapons, right?
Well,
Even
yeah. I didn't see any weapon, but he was far away, you know? If he was carrying a spear, might not have been able to see it. Pretty far out there. Why don't you go in the forest and go look for him? Find out what he was carrying.
well, I'd love to, but I'm not going to. Why?
I don't blame you.
Well, I'm going to continue my walk around the edge of the wall, and then make my way back home,
Okay.
and just think to myself about the giant making its rather long journey. It seems to a forest where there's forests nearby, so obviously it's going to that forest
Mm-hmm.
or something. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that you want to play out?
That's all I needed.
So, that day ends. And we will roll on to the next day, which is Friday the 2nd.
Neil, I'll just send word to the sheriff that we're going to cancel tonight. Is it not
Yeah.
seem
It seems
appropriate?
an appropriate thing to do, to cancel the drinking when the giant is perhaps lurking out there somewhere and the whole town's on alert. The next morning starts off fairly well. You guys are having breakfast down at the dinner table when once again the church bells start to go off. Last time the giant showed up somewhere in the early afternoon. This is bright and early in the morning.
All right, I'm gonna get up straight from the table, pick up, and just hop on and run to the
Yeah.
center of town.
Okay. You head into town, and this time, instead of masses of people in the streets talking, it is throngs of people screaming and yelling and making their way to the south side of town. You guys can see the gates are open and people are streaming out of town.
Sorry, Neil. Just before we continue on,
Yeah.
before we left, I would have told everyone else to get our treasury and everything else and get it ready to be loaded onto a cart, onto the wagon, and hitch up Doris.
Before you left the building?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yep. Sorry, so we see people streaming.
Oh yeah, people are, there's that bottleneck at the gates, and everyone's kind of pushing and trying to elbow their way through the gates and get south of town. If you want to fight against the sea of people and head north, it'll be a struggle.
That's definitely what Luther's going to try to do. I guess we can't see perhaps that giant in the distance.
Not quite yet. Not from your position in the middle of town, or on the south side
I'd
of
like
town.
to just listen to some of the cries and try to figure out if any of them are speaking any sense and about what the current situation actually is.
I mean, it's just a sea of people. You try and pick out a bit of a conversation, and pretty soon they've moved past you and someone else is talking, and most people, it's a mess. It's like trying to pick a conversation out at a train station when the train's just arriving. You get little snippets here, little snippets there, but it's too much is going on.
Yeah, Luther's just slowly jogging his way towards the source of the commotion.
Stefan and
Is it-
Ginger?
I will do
Is
it
it even
the easy way and walk casually with my shield in front of me
Okay.
north.
Stefan?
Is it possible to actually get across? I have seen mobs before, and if they're streaming this way in a panic, then can we feasibly get across the bridge?
Well, you guys make it to the central market, pushing through the streets, and you see the bridge is sort of crowded with people. And you see there are no boats docked or kind of pulled up on the shore on the northern side, and a lot of boats pulled up just against the shore on the southern side. Clearly, some people just rowed their way across and deposited their boats on the bank of the river and hightailed it. The bridge is pretty crowded. It's pretty packed.
Yeah. I point to the boat and say, everyone, I think that might be faster.
Oh, of course.
Right. You guys hop in a boat and row your way across to the more or less thinning out northern side of town when you see kind of over the wall, kind of the top of this giant head bob in your direction.
Okay, I think Lucas is alright. Time to row back across.
Yeah, back across, back in the boat, back in the boat.
Okay. You guys start going back over the boat
when we see the giant. Do we see it inside the town?
No. It was over the wall.
Okay.
You row your way across, and as you're pulling up to shore on the other side, you see the giant come up to the wall. His belly button reaches the top of the wall. He just takes his hands, puts them on the wall, and just starts tearing the wall down. He looks furious. He's yelling, he's cursing, and giant, or maybe there's just a loud growls, but it's this awful din of an angry, pissed off, mean giant just ripping down the wall, yelling, like shaking his fists at the sky, kicking things. The guards on the wall, one of them is kind of there with the bow, semi-drawn, looking up the giant, from the east side of the gate, while the giant's on the west side of the gate. And the guy just turns and just runs down the wall away from it.
Time to find a new home. I remember there was a nice lighthouse that recently became vacant.
That's actually good.
There?
That's very true. It comes with a garden.
Luther, if we're across back on the other side from the giant, Luther's gonna start just blowing his horn.
Sure. Your horn joins the din of the church bells and the crowd, making an ungodly noise for all to hear.
I imagine it's like a vuvuzela. really bad horn.
Especially if we all do horns at the same time.
It appears that the city has offended this giant. Let's keep going.
No, Luther wants to just sit on the other side of the river and wait. He wants to hold his position.
All right.
Just see if somebody shows up to help. Maybe that'd be nice.
The giant starts, if you're looking at the map, starts tearing down sections of the wall over here, and then stomps off, knocks down the gate, just steps on the gate and flattens it, and just kind of keeps making his way around, gets over towards here, and just starts tearing down this section of wall, and then tramples on this wood, just pulling it to the ground, picks up a couple of rocks and just hurls them into town. One of them smashes through a building, demolishing it. A few more land in the water, sending up giant plumes of spouts of water. The giant kicks down another section, and then just kind of disappears into the east. The church bells come to a stop after the giant stops tearing down the wall. And by now, actually, there's no one around you. You guys are kind of alone on this bank. You see a couple of people looking out of windows that were brave enough not to leave town. The giant just walks away.
And everyone's just evacuating the town.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Byra Luna.
What a terrible place to live.
Let's never go to Hector's plan.
Oh. Do you think it came for what it... Do you think it got what it came for, though?
I think it got whatever it wanted.
I was thinking, it walked past us yesterday and then attacks us today. What if the elves told it to attack?
If they told it to attack and it wanted human flesh, then we would be gone. I wonder if the hospitality of the elves leaves something to be desired.
Well, I turn behind me and say, "We as people are now gone. Look, they're all left."
The walls, the walls are, the walls are gone. Well, I'm assuming they're gone. But we need to go see this. This is not good.
Well, you want to go check on the walls?
Yes.
I think that's what Luther wants to do too. He just wants to see what happened. He's like a curious kid.
You guys are the first people to get to the wall. There's no one else around. Wadsworth is silent. There's just, a couple of chickens walking through the streets now. Must have gotten loose from somewhere. You hear a couple of dogs barking in the distance. But
Are there any guards still on the wall? There was some.
no, they're gone.
Okay.
Okay, so we can see the destruction.
Yeah, you can see the destruction and the emptiness of the town. Huge sections of wall have just been pulled down. It took the giant a while to do all of these things. If he tears down a 200-foot section of wall, it doesn't happen immediately, but he's pretty strong, and he grabbed on and just pulled it down. Some sections have like half a wall remaining, some have no wall remaining. It's more just less piles of bricks and rocks just crumbled. The gate is just flattened.
Oh, Lord.
So do you want to go maybe have a look outside to see if there's someone waiting out there? Maybe the elves wanted a way in to ambush us. I hate to think of it, but maybe that's what the giant's plan was.
We can certainly have a look, or you can have a look. If there's elves coming in after that, they are feared. Yeah, I think I'm almost more scared of them than that giant.
So, looking at the wall, would it be easy to get close to the wall to have a good view of the outside from the broken down areas?
Oh yeah, I mean, you guys are at the wall now, so you can see outside. I mean, you can walk outside. It's very easy to get outside the wall now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very easy.
All right, so I think I'm going to just climb up through some of the rubble and just take a good view of the surrounding land then.
Okay.
And since I had a good look at it yesterday, I will try to see if there's any major changes.
About 630 feet of the wall have been destroyed in 4 distinct chunks. Looking out, you see flat land, and over there's the forest, and you see the mountains and the hills, and the swamp is out there, although you can't quite see it because it's at ground level. But you don't see any elves, you don't see any people. You see in the east the giant is still walking, very obvious.
All right, I'm going to turn to the other two and be like, "Giant's moving away. I don't see anyone else. Why are we still here? Let's go."
Well, maybe just keep an eye on that giant until we can't see it anymore.
All right.
Where is it you want to go to?
Well, not here.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we'll have to see what's going on. Do you think people are just gonna leave the city?
Where would they go? I mean, except for outlying villages, but there's no wall there. Although,
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling to find out too. I don't know what the future is if we have to abandon the city.
I think
guess.
some will leave, but I think most will probably just stay in their pitiful lives. I don't think we need to leave anymore, but the city now has breaches in its walls.
A woman kind of starts poking her head outside the walls where you guys are. She's clearly a commoner. She's got a leather apron on underneath and slacks and a shirt on under that.
I'm gonna shout out to her. What? Why haven't you run away?
I did. Then I came back.
Oh,
The hell?
yeah. The giant just demolished the walls and it's just walking away.
Slowly, as you talk with this woman, a few more people start to show up. Everyone's pretty quiet, but a small, people start filtering through back into the town now that the giant's gone, start surveying the damage, looking at the walls. Eventually, the sheriff and some of his men show up, and they're just shaking their heads, looking around at the destruction.
Yeah, I guess Luther will go over to the sheriff and just kind of stand there for a bit. Not
Well,
really
Sheriff, Sheriff, I think you need more men now.
Well, this is a... He looks directly at you, Stephen, and goes, I think it might be time to set aside our differences.
Of course, we've already sorted that. The
Yeah.
old is forgotten or forgiven. And yes,
So...
this town got more dangerous.
Alright. He turns back to his men, speaks to a few of them, and heads back into the village, or into the town. The soldiers hang out for a while. A few of them then begin to disperse while the others kind of take up their positions back at the gate. Not really sure where to stand. They kind of hop on that section of wall near to the gate. This one right here. With their bows. Kind of awkward. They couldn't quite reach anything down that way, but they've got to guard the town somehow, and that's the spot that they've chosen they can defend.
None of this makes sense to me. Giant comes past us, goes into the forest, comes back the next morning and breaks the wall, then walks off back that way. Something must have happened in the forest. Can't. I'm
Or maybe
tempted
it was
to
just
go into the
bored.
forest. Yeah, but
It's a bit like the time when we were walking out there the other day and I kicked over an anthill because it was fun.
ants are small and don't have brains, and I guess we do. So
Do you know they don't have these brains, whatever brains are?
yeah.
No, at the temple they said humanity's the favored race.
This one here, begs to differ.
Yes, seems
Well, I guess we inform our family and plot and plan how we can take advantage of this.
yeah. At least we're at the south of town and not up here.
Yes. All right. Let's head back.
Okay. You guys arrive back in your family estate, and to relay what happened. And, kind of a awkward silence for a while, and then eventually William speaks up and says, "Well, guess there's nothing we can do about that."
No. How
From a s-
are we supposed to move forward from here? That's what I'm not understanding.
Same way we always have. How is our treasury holding? How many
Oh.
months of do we have left before it's
We-
depleted?
We have a month and probably another if we were able to sell these goods that we have stored away. Though I don't know.
So maybe 2 months of money on hand.
Yeah.
Well, that's not enough. Life goes on. The sun will continue to rise, even if the whole town crumbles. So, why don't we let the Countess figure out what to do with the wall? After all, it's her job. And let's go back to our business.
And hope there aren't zombies roaming the streets tomorrow.
Well, if there are, what are we going to do about it, right? Are we going to become town guardsmen and just watch the walls all day? I got away from that life for a reason. That's someone else's problem now.
Well,
If there's no more city, it may be our problem yet again in the future.
There are a lot of villages out there that don't have a wall, and they manage to survive.
Well,
And we still have most of a wall. South side of town's protected well enough. We'll be okay.
maybe it just turns out that walls just anger giants.
Maybe.
Yes.
That's why the villages are okay.
Maybe. Wonder how Blackthorn Watch is doing. Thornwatch is doing.
Oh, they're probably dead by now.
Without a countess. Well, we'll find out eventually. In the meantime, the task at hand is money. Money, money, money.
In fact, our absence, if threats start to come in, may be very good because then people will see more of a need for us, which I quite like. So, I have this great idea of heading into the mausoleum in was it Rosewater?
Rosewood?
Rosewood? Rosebloom.
Yeah, that's
I
the
knew, it
place.
was, I knew it was a rose something. Rosebloom, I'm guessing it's closer than everything else, so we're not too far away from the threats. And, well, you haven't been there, Father, because of your, biases.
My what?
Biases about the sanctity of
My
the dead.
dignity and honor?
Yeah, you can choose to call it that. Anyway, that sounds like the perfect place to be.
Another thing. We were talking about starting a guard last few days ago, something like that. My memory's not the best recently.
Mm-hmm.
Seems that it would be even more useful now, right?
Well, maybe while you're in Rosebloom, looting their crypts, you can see if there's a capable soldier around there that we can take up as arms.
I hope so. Rosebloom sounds like a town we should control, incidentally.
Well, who currently owns that town village?
Lady Condi Wyatt speaks up. Oh God, what's her name? Speaks up Sarah.
Does anyone know how much villages cost?
Well,
To buy?
I don't think that's how it
Why?
works.
It's given to you by the Countess. How do you not know this, brother? You are the
I
heir.
believe you could also buy it. Transfer to another noble family. I'm sure that happens.
Yeah, true.
It'll
I think
be
it's. I think. I don't think the value of the gold that we could ever have could take the value of a village, which produces an income.
If the family needed a lot of gold in a pinch. Just for reference.
700 people in Rosebloom, and they're the largest exporter of wine in the region. Of all the villages, they're probably the most well off.
Ooh.
Maybe.
So, Uncle, tell us about this the mausoleum. Would there be any? Would we know if there's any issues with getting access? Like, is
Well, your
it
uncle
like?
tells you that it's an open cemetery that has a few mausoleums built in it. So anyone is free to walk in and amongst the dead. And like most mausoleums, they have a locked gate on them to keep people out. The family that owns the plot would have the keys to the mausoleum. He says there are a few, some of which have been tampered with in years past, but he doesn't know the family names of those that are, well, of any of the mausoleums. he supposes one of them must be the Wyatt mausoleum. Or maybe not. Maybe the Wyatts are all buried here in town. It is their village, though, so it wouldn't be surprising if some of their members were buried there, or all of them.
Why?
So we would be breaking and entering them.
Well, it's just us here, yes.
Breaking and entering and then
And-
placing the blame on someone else because you'd have to, right?
Or you could just walk away.
Yeah, just walk away. Well, as long as it's not well known that we're there in the first place. Where is the mausoleums? Where is the cemetery situated? Is it outside town?
No, south side of town. Well, of the village, yeah. There's no wall or anything around the village, or I think there's maybe a short wall around the cemetery. Maybe waist high. 1 foot thick, with stone thick.
In that case, I say we go around and approach the wall at nightfall and head over and, well, brother, you can use your light fingers to let us in.
And we still
see.
have those masks, right?
I do. I have.
I don't have a mask.
But before all that, I certainly could get us in, but this all seems a bit risky to me.
Your uncle takes a moment and says, "Grave robbing is a time-honored tradition. It's nasty business, and I hope to set up a place for myself that won't ever be robbed. But it's how we learn about the past, by
Well,
raiding
it's not
people's
that
tombs."
it's not that I mind grave robbing. It's more that I'm not so sure we could do it without getting seen, I suppose.
Well,
How many good folk go into the cemetery at nighttime? To see the dead is something you do in the daytime.
We haven't seen the town for ourselves. It's quite possible that someone just sees us out of their window as we approach.
Well, that's why we approach from a distance and come up from the north. And if there's a cemetery there, it'd be large and, well, certainly large enough. And under the cover of darkness, there's no lighting. I don't think there's too much risk there. I mean, there is a risk, but there's a risk in everything we do. We went to the lighthouse to go and have fun and got attacked by bone horror things.
Yes. I suppose it could work.
And if we are caught, we can just say that we were going into the cemetery to look at the history of the people there for our uncle.
Yeah, if we're caught on the way in, if we're caught on the way out with the loot, what do we do then?
Say the same thing and say we were successful in gathering the information.
Yeah, that works.
If they ask why we were there at night, we just say we just arrived and we arrived from the south, and yeah, who cares? We can say whatever we want.
Well, I think you've convinced me.
William
course I
looks
have.
grim. He doesn't look too pleased by this news. Sarah is also a little disturbed, but not too bothered by it.
Unless, Father, you have anything to say, your honour, your dignity does not pay the bills in your state of blindness.
I'm not too old to give you a spanking there, Stefan.
You have to find me first, Father.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I could get your brother and sister to bend you over my knee.
Most likely. It's funny how you actually notice me now that my slightly older brother is gone. It's nice to actually be in your graces again. And I'll walk out and get ready.
An awkward silence fills the room, and someone makes small talk about the weather and how it's nice that even if there's a giant here, at least the sun's out and it's not raining anymore. And Mary offers to go get William some food, and Joseph says he's got to look in on Maximilian's a list of plans, and Sarah says she's gonna go bring him some tea. Everyone kind of just filters away awkwardly.
I'm gonna follow up with Sarah and ask her. You know how I never learnt to read, right?
Yes.
Well, I was wondering if somebody could teach me how to write my name.
You can't even write your name.
That's the point. I just need to know that one thing, and then I can pretend to know what I'm doing.
Okay. Come on. Let me make Maximilian some tea, or get the servants to make him some tea. And I'll show you how to write your name.
All right, thank you.
So you guys can practice writing your name later. It's gonna be awkward. You don't know how to grip a pen. You're writing with the quill and you're losing your ink all over the table. You're dipping it in and just like dropping ink all over the page. The old quill and ink is it's a mess for you, and it's not going too well, but you guys practice and work on it, and by the end of the day, you've got sort of your name down. It looks great to you. You can see the look on her face is like, I guess that'll pass, maybe. As long as she doesn't forget what the letters are.
So as long as I can sign the bottom of someone's papers, I can just like stand there, pretend to read, and sign, right?
Yeah, if you make it clear that you're just trying to like be able to sign a document, she nods and goes, well, just start with the G and then scribble. And that's close enough.
Aren't I meant to start with an M?
No.
All right.
Your name is
enough.
Ginger. Ginger starts with a G.
Oh, I thought I was supposed to use a full name for official signatures.
Sometimes I forget your name's not actually Ginger. Because it says that on every single overlay and document everywhere.
Everyone forgets, but it's important. It's important to know the full name for official signatures, from what I'm being told.
Yes. What is your first name?
It is Marcella.
Marcella. It's literally not on any document I have. The family notes are Ginger. The overlays are Ginger. Everything is Marcella. Okay.
From Sarah's perspective, that would mean teaching and torture of learning another 8
Yeah.
eight letters.
Yeah, so she goes back and says, okay, I've been teaching you how to write Ginger. This is how you write Marcella. And you guys spend, you go late into the evening burning the candles low, learning how to write Marcella instead.
All right.
Okay. And I think we're going to take our third break right here. And when we come back, the party will head to Rosebloom, I guess.
Yep. Maybe rob a crypt or something. That'll be
Fun.
fun.
All right. We'll see you guys for some crypt robbing on the other side of our break. Bye-bye.
Right.